Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto, or welcome to the channel if you're new, and welcome to this middle of the day market updates on the crypto markets. We'll talk about the crypto market in general, what to expect. Can we actually have bullish market circumstances today or not? We'll focus on, or we'll zoom in on Bitcoin and XRP, do a little bit of a specific analysis on those, and some other altcoins that I thought were interesting to look at for this afternoon. So that's what we'll do. I'll try to keep the video relatively short. Just a quick announcement. Tomorrow evening I will be live streaming because we have the FOMC meeting. As most of you already know, or at least I think most of you already know that. But we'll have that, and that's going to be very, very volatile. That's going to introduce a lot of volatility to the markets. So hopefully I'll see you there if you want to know what's going on, if it's bullish, etc. etc. But for now, let's talk about the markets. So the main thing today seems to be, again, the fundamentals. All right, and that's the same story as it was basically for the last couple of weeks. I mean, most of the big movements in the markets, and there were some exceptions, for example, right here, the 4th of March, but most of the movements have been caused or have been directed by the general financial markets. And what we have seen so far is that after the US opening, the S&P 500 stock market has dropped down. Now, in general, we were already at a pretty crucial resistance level, so it's not all over now that we have found resistance from here. That was also to be expected. It would have been very, very bullish if we were able to reclaim that level instantly, and also with the potential peace talks today with the US and Russia, but also the FOMC meeting tomorrow. It seems like the market is de-risking a bit here. And that is pulling down Bitcoin together with it as well. But we'll talk about Bitcoin a little bit more specifically in a moment. Look, as long as we're holding this level right here at 557 right here, I still think that we could have formed a bottom with the stock market. But now it's really about the headlines. It's about the news. It's about economic developments. It's about the FOMC meeting, what will be said there. And then ultimately we will find some sort of a breakout out of either the supports, and then we'll drop down lower, which would be bad. And then Bitcoin can drop down into the low 70s. Or we can still get that reclaim. And I would still, and that is, look, this is pure speculation, but I would still say that it is most likely that we will actually see some recovery here, that we'll be able to get a bullish reclaim, and that we will see higher stock, or that we will see stocks trading higher within the next month or month and a half. And that's going to pull Bitcoin together with it as well. However, looking at Bitcoin specifically, and also taking a look at the Coinbase Bitcoin price, regardless of what I think about the stock market, what you can see is that there's extensive selling going on, especially from the US in Bitcoin. And like I said, that could be de-risking, but what that's causing on the short term, against my expectations, because my expectations were that it was a little bit more likely to get a bullish breakout. Although I do want to say, I always told you, do not buy Bitcoin. So even though I thought it was most likely, it was not something I held very dear to. And right now it looks like that de-risking move, and just in general a little bit of a risk-off market, seems to be winning. There still is a small probability that we'll be able to reclaim 82,000 and stay in this range and potentially get some bullish momentum, especially also if we get some good news today. So that is a possibility. But for now, I would say it's most likely that we will drop back down into support right here at 80,000 and 78,000. And then from there, depending on the fundamentals, we'll be able to see again whether we can hold that and bounce back and potentially break above 84,500 or not. But that's for later. For now, I would say that the market is giving us a bit of a direction to the downside. Now, talking about XRP, we fully expected this, all right, regardless of what's going on in the markets. I already told you in my XRP videos that, well, at least this morning, that it was quite likely that we were going to get a pullback into 2.15, 2.1. Still seems to be the case. I still think it's most likely that support level is going to be able to hold. And then from there, we'll be able to see and analyze and predict whether we can actually get another rally, another move up or not. So those are kind of my thoughts on the markets. Those are my thoughts on Bitcoin right now. Personally, I'm not trading anything at this point of time. I'm very much waiting. Well, I'm personally also de-risking. So I'm personally, I'm fully in sync with the market. There are some altcoins that are interesting. Over the course of this morning, we saw a huge amount of manipulation, which you can see with super negative funding rates right here. It's still going on, by the way. But most of these, like, I would keep an eye on the funding rates. Most of these with very negative funding rates, I would avoid trading them or trade them with very, very low size. There are still some coins that I thought were interesting. Today, Hamster is actually quite bullish, but that's Ton. And that's also, like, the two main narratives over this weekend were the Ton network or the Ton ecosystem and the BNB ecosystem. I still think, even though I would wait with opening positions on them with this turmoil in the general markets, I still do think that those are the two main narratives where lower risk opportunities lay. All right, so potentially getting the bullish reclaim here for BNB would introduce more bullish momentum for the BNB ecosystem. Coins such as BNB, Cake, BNX, TSC. And what it's looking like right now is that Ton wants to get some sort of a bullish confirmation or bullish continuation, and that would also be very bullish for Ton ecosystem projects such as Ton, Not, but also Hamster. And Hamster at this point of time is pulling a lot of volume and is looking very, very bullish, as you can see right here. But those are kind of the main groups of altcoins I would look at. I would still be I would still be on the safe side. But if you want to have some altcoins on your watch list, those would be it, including also Tron. Tron looks fairly strong as well. But that's it. Those are my thoughts on the markets for today. Zooming in on Bitcoin, XRP, and some altcoin narratives, altcoin categories that I thought were interesting. If you do have any questions, let me know down in the comments. But for now, thank you for watching. Take care and bye.